tuned in to Metro Focus. Inspiring talk news for you. Hello everyone, my name is Kristen Elmore and you're watching Metro Focus. Today we have an exciting topic for you. We will be talking about the Peace Bridge Development Project and the impacts it will have on the community. My guest today is Natasha Soto, and we'll be here to have an interesting conversation after these messages.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Welcome back. This is Kristen Elmore, and I'm here speaking with my guest, Natasha Soto from Westside Clean Air Coalition. Can you tell me about your organization and what you do?
Sure. So Clean Air Coalition of Western New York, some people call it Clean Air, has been around officially as a nonprofit for 5 years now. We started working in Tonawanda, a group of residents who live out near 52 industrial facilities, noticed that they were getting very sick at a very young age and started talking to each other and their neighbors, and noticed that their neighbors were also sick. Things like leukemia, a lot of cancers that they shouldn't be getting when they're so young, and they thought that maybe it had something to do with their air quality and all the facilities that they lived in. So they started doing their own air monitoring and send the air monitoring to an EPA certified lab. EPA came back and said that you have a high level of benzene in your air, which is a carcinogen. And they said, who makes a lot of benzene in this area? And they attributed it to Tonawanda Coke. So that's how they got to push for the Department of Environmental Conservation and the Environmental Protection Agency to take more action on these facilities and to make sure that they were following the laws as to what they could pollute the air with. So we started working on the west side of Buffalo about 3 years ago because of the high asthma rates. So there are folks who were going inside people's homes on the west side who had a lot of asthma, and we're telling them to get new pillows, get rid of your carpets, get rid of your cats, you should stop smoking inside. But no one was talking about the elephant in the room, which is the Peace Bridge, which has on any given day 4,000 or more diesel trucks passing through it every single day. And we know diesel is a carcinogen. It makes asthma worse. It causes, lung cancers, COPD, things like that.
Now, you're the expert. Can you please give a brief history of what the Peace Bridge expansion is trying to do and what it will mean for the community?
Sure. So I'm no expert. They've been talking about expanding this Peace Bridge Plaza for about 20 years in Buffalo, building a new bridge, and they didn't have the money for that. They also botched their environmental impact statement, so they couldn't really expand the plaza, do a bridge. And then they started talking about a new expansion about 4 years ago, which is kind of where we come in. So they wanted to tear down 90 homes. That's not going to happen anymore. They are not publicly talking about their plans, but we know that they want to encroach further into the neighborhood, move their duty-free, and move trucks closer to where people live. But right now, the DOT, which is the Department of Transportation, is talking about rerouting trucks off of Front Park near the Peace Bridge Plaza onto Porter Avenue, which would create different difficulties for folks who live near there, getting into Front Park, getting to School 3, and accessing LaSalle Park as well.
Can you describe the community around the Peace Bridge?
Sure. So it's mostly people of color, a lot of Hispanics, some African American, and then affluent Caucasian folks who live in the area. A lot of folks don't speak English. A lot of folks live below the poverty line, and a lot of folks are recent immigrants and refugees to the area.
What do the proponents of the plan, people who support the development, hope that it will bring to the neighborhood? And why do you think that those benefits will be offset by the health effects?
So as far as I understand, people want to see jobs. They think that construction jobs are important. They are important, but they're not long-term jobs that communities can benefit from long-term. And our members in Clean Air do not believe that expanding a truck plaza into a neighborhood that already gets 2/3 of the truck traffic in this area is going to benefit anyone. It's just going to make the air quality worse, and it's going to make people's quality of life worse.
Why is the truck traffic already so heavy over there? Is it just the Peace Bridge, or are there other factors as well?
So it's because there are two different authorities who manage these bridges crossing from the United States to Canada, competing for revenue. So they get money off the tolls.
Can there be any good potentially from building the project? Do you think there can be a type of goal reached by the both of you?
So our members are not necessarily against progress, as people like to call us obstructionists, but we want, and the residents want, to be included in these decisions that people are making very high level without them in the room, without them at the table. And that's what success looks like first and foremost. Include the people who live in the neighborhood about the decisions that you're making about their neighborhood.
It's my understanding that increasing the truck traffic will have a direct impact on the public health of the community. Is that the case?
We believe so, yeah.
All right, and what would Clean Air like to do to counteract that if the expansion still goes forward?
So another problem with expanding this truck plaza and the plan that the DOT has is that they're not including any mitigation for the residents. So there are no plans to build more trees, to build walls, to make sure that residents are protected from the either increase or the current air pollution that they're breathing in.
Are there already efforts to reduce the number of people affected from asthma in the neighborhood?
So we just had a really good meeting earlier this week talking about what solutions can the community try to implement regardless of what the Peace Bridge Authority is doing, regardless of what the DOT is doing. What can we as a community do to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from these air pollution problems? So we had a great meeting and we talked about putting up green buffers, things like bamboo, different kind of trees, green living walls we can put in the neighborhood just to protect us from all that air pollution.
Describe a green buffer to me.
Sure. So it's essentially just a barrier in place to protect you from an air pollution source, in this case mobile sources like trucks and cars. So out in Oakland, where they have a busy port area, they have an airplane, a ship port, a truck port, and a train port, all in this area. Of course, it's a community of color that is sucking in all this pollution. And they worked with their government agencies and their environmental protection agency out there to plant bamboo, which acts as a great wall for noise, sound, and pollution. They planted green walls, which is just a concrete wall that you see along many highways, but instead of just concrete, they have plants growing on them so they can work to clean the air.
Okay. That will be all for this segment. We'll be back in one short minute.
Found in the transverse segment of the colon with vascular congestion and smooth surface.
Typically, the biopsy proved to be a tubulovillous adenoma.
It's a polyp! Why doesn't he just come right out and say it? It's a polyp.
Sir, do you mind?
Look at your textbook. Could I see that pointer?
We got one.
Stopping colon cancer is simple. Get the polyp early and stop colon cancer before it even starts.
Wait.
Just get the test.
I need the credits.
Get the polyp.
Attica!
Oh, shut up!
Get the cure.
This is gonna be a real test. And they're really into it. Jenny takes the lead to page 2. Uh-oh, Johnny's eyes are offsides. He's back onside. Good call on Johnny's part. Oh, looks like forward passing going on. Let's look at that again. No, she'll be completing this one on her own. So get it in your head. Next time you're tempted to cheat, don't. Do the work. Take the test. Listen to the ref in your head. Cheating is a personal foul.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
Thanks for coming. We're going to start our press conference. So the reason we're having a press conference is because there have been a lot of talks in Washington and in Albany to the West Side's air quality problems, but no one has been talking to the West Side residents about air quality problems. And we're here today because we have been talking about solutions for years. We know we have an air quality problem, and it's time that you talk to us about solutions that are talking around us. So we're going to introduce 10 solutions that we think that can be funded right now. Do you want to lead us up?
My name is Gregory. I'm a community member, and I'm a community resident of the West Side. And I think we have a couple of different solutions that might be able to go together with the project that's being put forward. One of them is, I think that we should definitely, or the project should definitely invest in our community as far as the healthcare goes. More asthma screenings, provide more funding for our clinics in our communities. You know, our clinics are overpopulated, what would be a 15 to 20 minute wait, sometimes turning to an hour. Please help fund our clinics, you know, fund more asthma screenings. There's other different things that definitely can help our community sustain this impact. One of them being providing green buffers and more trees for our community. This has worked very well in other states like California, and it's a problem that might be imminent if we, you know, if this project keeps moving in the direction that it has been. Another thing that I think should be invested should be our sidewalks, our streets where people live at. This is our community, and we need your support. We need your funding to help us live a better life, not only for us, but for our future generations that also live here. It becomes very dangerous when a lot of seniors are trying to walk to a common place and the traffic is so heavy, it becomes a burden to even walk outside to your local vendors. Amongst a lot of other things, I mean, there's many things that we would like to see. Green filters that would help our community separate the noise and the pollution that comes from immense amount of pollution coming from diesel trucks and gas cars alike. And I think this is a great way to help us out. So.
Awesome. Tanya? Yes, I also believe that enforcing, analyzing the law. The New York State Department should make our neighborhood a priority by assigning officers to spend more money and time in our community to prevent vandalizing on the side street in which I live on 4th and Jersey. It's a dead-end street. I looked at it today, and they plowed it. What was the purpose of plowing the street when the street has no connection to another street? That's another problem in our community. And I also have a problem with the Peace Bridge Authority. They should increase more enforcement on their plaza to make sure that they're doing their job by making sure the cars are not staying there too long over their period of time in which they are demanded to stay through the state law. I also believe that trees will also be a definite goal for us in our community. Because there are trees that need to be needed more in our community, especially for our neighborhood, to help us clean the air from the pollution that's coming through, so that we may sit outside and enjoy the summer days. And also, the best locations are in the parks, when we're walking down the street, and also hot summer days. We just need trees to blow and breathe some cool breeze air. I live over by the water. Because I live by the water, it doesn't mean it's going to be cooler. It doesn't make it any different without trees to blow and help us feel that air coming off of the water. So I just wish they would, in the meetings that they call, please just let us be invited as neighbors so we can tell them what's going on in our neighborhood, neighbors that we speak to that tell us that are sick, family members who have passed away, and also things that they think that can help our neighborhood with this pollution situation. And thank you very much.
Yeah, we think that the DEC should monitor for the chemicals that we are most concerned about. Don't give us an air monitoring program on things that we didn't ask for. Study the things that we asked for, increase air monitors, and put air monitors where we ask them to, and work with us to make sure that those air monitors are looking for the things that the neighborhood needs. We want investment in green buffers in high traffic locations. So like Junior was saying, in California, there's high traffic, high port areas where there's a lot of asthma as well, and they put up green walls, living walls, things to protect residents from the light, the noise, the vibrations, and the pollutions from all of these truck traffics and train traffics. We need more custom agents. Senator Schumer just noted a few weeks ago that this is not a capacity problem, it's a staffing problem, and we need more customs agents at that border. We need air filtration systems for our community centers, for our churches, and for our schools, so that we are not inundated with indoor air pollution as well as outdoor air pollution. And we want our public meetings to make public. We are proud of our neighborhood's racial and linguistic diversity, and we need you to include that diversity into all of your meetings instead of excluding the different languages and races that are spoken on the West Side. And we also want you to treat us like equals. Stop talking about us and stop talking around us. And invite us to the table to talk about the solutions that we know that we need to see in our neighborhood. And that means all of you. Federal Highway, New York State Department of Transportation, the PBA, the DEC, and our local elected officials like Councilman Rivera, Councilman Pridgen, Congressman Higgins, Assemblyman Ryan, and Senators Bersani and Kennedy. Thank you very much. Any questions?
You just mentioned Councilmember Rivera just a moment ago, and it seems like he has not been standing up for the community, at least the folks that you represent, in fighting for better air quality in the neighborhood. Have you talked to him? Are you disappointed in, I know in the past he kind of said some of the right things in terms of being there on your side, and more recently it seems like that's not the case.
So we are extremely disappointed that none of our local elected officials has stood on the side of the residents and the side of improving air quality.
Are there any particular agencies that you're calling on to do infrastructural work, neighborhood improvement, and other things like that? Right? Is it more the responsibility of the city, do you think?
So the city can definitely do things like plant more trees and invest in our local streets, but the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency also funds green buffers and living walls and things like that, and the DEC funds those air monitors. So yeah, we need cooperation from all of our agencies.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Joe. Stevens. Eric, over here. I'll take him right there. All right, thank you. Thank you. Right here.
3, 2.
Welcome back. I would like to introduce our next guest, Mr. Frank Messiah from the Buffalo branch of the NAACP. Mr. Messiah, could you familiarize our guests with you and the Buffalo branch of the NAACP?
Well, I'm president of the Buffalo branch. NAACP has been an integral part of this community since its incorporation in 1915. And that was even before I was born. But we've been around, we've been involved in taking, we get involved primarily in class action suits. And we were part of the class action suit that took the Board of Education, Buffalo Board of Education to court, and they were found guilty of intentionally segregating the schools and not hiring minority teachers. We were part of Friends of the Court, where the police and fire department were found guilty of not hiring women and minorities. Just a year or so ago, we were involved in taking 13 of the 14 major mortgage lenders to court because we found they were charging African Americans and Latinos increased interest on loans. So we're active, whether it was things in the past, things today, we're still very active.
The NAACP is a civil rights organization. What is your involvement on this Peace Bridge project, which seems to be an environmental problem?
Well, environment is part of what we're into. There's discrimination relative to environment, because what we find is that in many areas, Latinos and African Americans are living in mass, not because they want to live in certain places, but because the society, and this is a whole nother story of why you get these masses of African Americans and Latinos living in the same area. And what we find here in Buffalo as far as environmental discrimination, the mere fact that what appears on the surface to be just normal, some trucks parked down on the west side, are really, from our perspective and why we're involved in it, they're spewing out certain kinds of carcinogens from those vehicles, those big trucks that sit there running hour after hour. And what we find is a disproportionate number of asthma cases, anything related to the your breathing. And that's why we're involved in. You don't see anybody putting up that kind of a structure in North Buffalo, in South Buffalo. But what we're finding it as we talk about environmental discrimination, that these are African Americans and Latinos who historically have been discriminated against. Now they find themselves in an area that on the surface appears to be neutral. Just some trucks parked down there at the down at the front park, but that air coming for those fumes coming from those trucks are moving out over that entire area of the west side. And what we feel strongly, that's why you see a disproportionate number of those people who happen to be African Americans and Latino suffering from these health-related lung-like conditions.
There was a project proposed in 2012 to move the traffic from the west side of Buffalo to Lewiston. That project never went through. Do you think?
Probably not, because you wouldn't find them white folks over there coughing and gagging and having increased in asthma and other lung conditions. And that's what we're saying. There are options, and there are other things you can do with those trucks. But since, and this is a problem, that until people themselves stand up and stop accepting that as being normal and natural, I think if you had enough of the people living on the west side in that area adversely affected by that, went out, registered to vote, and went to their congresspeople, their state representatives, and say, we want this, I don't care what you do it, you build a structure where these trucks, those fumes will go some other place. We don't care, move it, do something with it. But we're tired and living in this area in this kind of condition.
And moving all the trucks from the Peace Bridge to Queenston Lewiston might not necessarily solve the problem and just put it in someone else's backyard. I think another problem is that we are so focused on trucks moving our goods when there's other viable options, and then concentrating a large number of trucks into one neighborhood when there's 3 other bridges that can potentially be used, and we can equalize some of that truck traffic.
We're talking about the air quality and how it affects people's asthma. What are the asthma rates like between minorities as compared to white Americans?
Well, I think what we're seeing, I don't have those figures in front of me, but I know for years there has been that initiative and those issues raised of the disproportionate number of people. What would be interested, you want to make it seem right, why don't we do it by ethnicity, and you really see a stark difference. Let's look at the number of people in Western New York who are Asian, Italian, Polish, German, Irish, Scandinavian. How many of those are affected by these asthmatic conditions in relation to the people concentrated in those areas? And I'm willing to bet you will find fewer of other ethnic groups being adversely affected by that.
And it's not just asthma rates. So the West Side has 4 times national asthma rates, but it's also if I have a child with asthma and I have to take off work, it becomes more difficult if it's a part-time job, if I'm working 2 part-time jobs, if I'm at risk for being fired, and then I have to go get my kid from school who may not be doing well because he's already being taken out of school 2-3 times a week. So it's easier if I have a CEO position and I can take off and take my kid to the doctor if he has asthma.
We only have 2 short minutes left, so I'd like both of you to share your contact information and how our viewers can reach you if they have any questions.
Sure.
Well, we're located at in Buffalo on Ferry Street, 395 East Ferry Street. Our phone number is 884-7242, and we're available. We have an answering machine. We are volunteers. NAACP, we do not get paid. We are volunteers, and we can assist people in maybe directing them to where to go for assistance. But we don't have the resources to do it because we're all volunteers, but we're there. We have an office, we have telephone, computer, etc. So, but I think Natasha can tell us more.
So like the NAACP, we're a member-run organization. We have a website, cacwny.org. We have a Facebook. I can be reached at Natasha, Natasha, at cacwny.org.
You went so fast, Natasha, I didn't hear that. Would you go a little slower?
Sure, Natasha at cacwny.org.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you.
And that is the end of our program. To all of our viewers, I hope you take advantage of these 2 resources in the community. Have a great day.
If you're not recycling, you're throwing it all away.